Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's Brian if you happen to be new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back you magnificent sexy beast you. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments at the start of these videos. Now it's the goal of this video to welcome you back in to the world of Eternum, to welcome you back to New World, and to break this video up, hopefully making sense into a couple of different sections. First and foremost, I'm going to address the various pain points that the devs have actually implemented and you can actually take a part of today. Maybe these are reasons why you left in the first place, or maybe you're just curious about what all has changed. Now, if you want more detailed guides and breakdowns of this game, including the news, the patch notes, and even an updated controller guide by me coming soon to address the new Brimstone Sands update, which will be dropping here in a couple of weeks, just note, hit that subscribe button and those will be here, or you can check out the channel page for more of my New World content. This is a New World focused only channel, so that's all you're going to get if you do subscribe. And if you do, sound off in the comments below so I can welcome you officially to the channel itself. There's a lot that I want to cover, but I just want to say, if you guys need to just jump to any particular section of this video, use the chapter markers. It doesn't bother me whatsoever. And let's go ahead and begin and focus first in on the pain points that have been resolved. I've identified those when I talk to many people as the leveling and the questing, fast travel, the economy, your inventory and your storage, dungeons, aka the expeditions, along with those former keys. You know, a little spoiler alert, the keys are gone. They also have updated their endgame and so much more. Now, before we do any of that, if you're coming back, I actually kind of want to first focus you in on the game and how you can pick your server or transfer. They have been adding in more servers as players have returned, and I want to focus you first into the character transfer. Chances are you actually probably have 2 character transfers to use. If you wanted to go ahead and switch servers, you can do so, and you can even switch regions. It's going to tell you if for some reason there's something you need to do before you do your transfer, and you can also purchase additional transfers if you need. But I'm going to point this out because if you're hitting long queue times or you're looking for people to play with, I play on Orphanerfu, and I can't pronounce it, but again, our Discord link is in the description, and I promise you I'll actually never transfer off of the server. If ever we get merged into servers in the future, that's the only way I will travel, because many of you guys have found my channel and my content and have joined the Discord and join us on Fridays over on Twitch, and I want to make sure that if you guys join me, I'm never going to abandon that. I find playing with you guys an extreme privilege, and just know I wanted to highlight this for you because chances are you might be on a server you don't recommend or you don't know, or maybe you have friends that have moved and switched. You can actually transfer and you have the ability to do that for free if you're a returning player. And then if you need to be able to purchase more transfers in the future, you can do so. But that's just what I want to highlight for you guys first and foremost. Okay, so let's talk about leveling and questing. Namely, leveling experience has been eased up and it has become so much better. The best news is while I'll be putting out an even more up-to-date guide after the Brimstone Sands drops here in October, I will also be focusing in on what we can do right now. Now, still, you have the main story quest that if you guys are ever kind of curious, the MSQ is the story that's going to take you primarily through the game and its world. Then you also have plenty of side quests. You still also have town boards, and for those of you who might have left, the town boards are going to have a little bit of adjustment coming up in October, but still you can go and do those as well. The nice thing about all of this is that the experience curve to be able to level all the way up to 60 has been eased in the kind of the key pain points. They've also added in more quests to do to kind of help ease that burden. And if you're watching this post-October, again, check the playlist below to be able to get the most up-to-date version of this guide, but there's also a much more ease of the quest log system itself. So that is all, I think, really good news for the first and foremost part of it. Now, you might be talking about yourself like, wasn't this just a running simulator? Well, it might have been at some point. The nice thing is that as you actually unlock fast travel, they have eased the cost of fast travel. There's also a specific fort. If you have a faction that controls a specific fort, there's various perks that actually are a part of that control. And at this time of recording, my faction controls the fort that gives all fast travel to be free. However, the cost of fast travel pretty much is now at like capped at 20, and then it only goes down from there. Plus there's no inventory cost. So when it comes down to fast travel, it's extremely eased up. It is easy to get around this game so much more. And you can also run on roads faster. There is a buff right now, a 10% buff at the time of this recording, and in October, a 15% buff of speed whenever you're running on the roads themselves. Plus, the devs have already confirmed that mounts are coming and so much more, guys. This is really a really good time to return to the game itself, just off of those two things alone, but it only continues to get better. Another comment I always get is about the economy. Back in October, November, there were some gold duping issues, and the devs have worked hard and actually cleaned up all of that currency. They reported around 98.9% of all the dupe stuff have been removed, and this was a long time ago. So now economies are really working for you. As a player, I get a lot of money, and I've already made a lot of money, and then I go on these great shopping sprees as well. So just note that there are still great ways to make money. The economy is functioning, and you have lots of opportunities to do that. Now, what you're seeing right here, if you guys haven't been paying attention, is they've actually added in musical instruments. We'll cover that later in this video, but you can get buffs by just kind of tipping here. So if I press the T key, I can actually go ahead and get a buff from this person who's playing and leveling up their music in the game itself, and as well as you can actually team up with them for a wonderful little mini game. Again, we'll cover more of that here later in this video if needed. Now, let's talk about inventory and storage as I make my way through Everfall. Note that if you're again watching this in late October, Everfall is going to have a different look to it. A lot of the zones are getting new updates, new looks, new flows to the quest design and more. But let's go ahead and focus in on my inventory and on storage. One of the really great things about it is they've linked all storages in this case that I can go ahead and move all of my items for free without any cost. So you can actually use all of the different storages that you've unlocked to be able to store and have a good amount of items. Now, I would actually even maybe recommend thinking about different storage solutions to kind of constitute quote unquote a loose concept of your build when it comes to your armor and your gear. Note that we're still waiting for loadouts, and the devs have said that's coming on the way, so hopefully we'll get to talk about that more here on the video itself. But at the end of the day, this is just kind of how this is functioning for you. So it is much easier to manage your inventory and your storage even outside of owning homes, even outside of that. In fact, they've actually eased the cost of owning homes in the different city states. And when it comes down to paying your taxes, they are pretty much capped. I generally spend around 50 for a small house and 150 for a large house a week. So those taxes kind of rotate each and every week. And honestly, I actually really enjoyed that system. I think it's a really good way of having that incentive. You don't ever lose your house. You just lose the perks and the trophies that you have contained within it. So there's a lot to love there in and of itself. You can always see what trophies and stuff and bonuses that you have active over on your character page as well. So just note that you have all of those options for you. And if you're ever kind of curious about where how things are progressing and more, you can always check out your leveling rewards. And that's actually kind of one of the tips that I would say is that if you come back to the game and you're kind of like, wow, what should I do? What do I need to be doing? Check out your leveling rewards and make sure that as part of your journal that you're at least knocking out your various different MSQ quests as well as your survivalist quests, which will upgrade your camp and open up various things for you at the end game. Now, I cover the expertise grind in the best way possible. And, you know, from my perspective as somebody who I've got kids, I've got a lot of things going on in my life. And so I really enjoy having an approach that doesn't burn me out so fast. But ultimately, you can check out my expertise endgame grind if you want a massive amount of detail. We'll cover again more of that here later in this video. But when it comes down to inventory management, it ends up being much more eased. The travel is much more eased. And this is where I think the most exciting and pain point free thing has come into play. Dungeons no longer require keys. I kind of teased this a little bit earlier in the video. And also they have added in a group finder system, allowing you to find and create a group in which that you can match for various different roles. Now, right now, the 3 roles are healer, tank, and damage. One of the feedback, I've been putting in is, can we get like a support-based role or a hybrid-based role when it comes to our loadouts and our setups? Because New World does offer that flexibility in the game itself, but you can select your role, you can select what you're looking for, and you can kind of give a little bit more detail. This system is going to be expanded upon in future iterations, so I'm very excited to see that this is a good first step, and in the end of the day, we're going to see more and more as that plays out over the long run. Anyhow, So we talked about the Dungeon Finder, and I do want to say, as I talked about the server and transfers, they've already increased the server cap. They're already adding in new servers, and as new and more players return, that's going to be something that is going to be continually looked at and addressed. And so now there's still more that we need to talk about, but I believe those are the key pain points for the game itself. I want to dive more in depth into these systems in this video. So if that's all you really needed and wanted to know, thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to like, sub, share. Sharing this video, if you have any players or any friends that used to play with you and they're still on the fence, that would be a huge help. And so if you've been shared this video, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. Your friend is awesome. And yeah, I appreciate them so much. You can always check out our podcast and our Discord server as well. We play together Friday nights over on Twitch. Links in the description, as well as the MP3 for the podcast if you guys want some more content in your feed or to listen to while you go on the daily grind within this game or any other MMORPG for that matter. All right, now I want to talk about other things and awesome things that have changed. We know that in October we're getting the Great Sword, but when it comes down to weapon mastery, we've already received a couple additional weapons depending on when you've left. If you left sometime after launch, you have missed out on the Void Gauntlet. You've also missed out on the Blunderbuss. These are two new additional weapons that have been made, and they've also made a lot of different adjustments, like for the hatchet and updating the throwing tree. So many cool things for you to play around with. Here's the real thing. Don't worry about meta. Don't worry about anything about being optimal. You're going to find that out because how the game and the gear and all of that works. Yeah, there's going to be a meta, but that meta is going to shift. Honestly, I would say just jump in, find something you like to play, and then check back here or in any of the other amazing content creators that really love this game, and you're going to find what you want. What I would encourage you to do is check out, especially the Blunderbuss. I can't recommend that weapon enough. It is amazing. I have more detailed builds actually on this channel that I would just point you to rather than otherwise this video ends up becoming an hour and 2 hours long. So again, check out the Blunderbuss. I'm currently leveling up the Void Gauntlet. My ultimate goal is to have all of my levels at level cap. And one of the feedbacks that I keep putting in is that I'd like to see level experience continue post 20 to where you still obviously are level 20, but you get like maybe a cool roll on a rapier, like if you continue to level the rapier. There's a lot of changes they've made to the balance of this game, and even more little changes are coming here and there. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that. But yeah, do that. We got ultimate abilities on the way that are going to kind of play around with your build. And one thing I do want to point out in terms of content, they've actually added this PvP reward track. So if you really like PvP, this is open world, this is arena. I haven't even gone through the modes. We have Outpost Rush, which is a level 60 endgame PvP, but starting at level 20, you can get the 3v3 arenas PvP, and this in and of itself is a ton of fun. And the more people that are back and playing, the easier this is going to be. They have stated that cross server matchmaking will be coming. We just do not know at the time of this recording when that's going to happen. But beyond that, you do have the reward track. So doing anything PvP based is going to reward you a PvP currency as well as PvP experience that allows you to level up through it. Now, I do this kind of casually. I take part in my faction missions and I do a little bit of PvP like OPR. And this is just a nice piece of content that just kind of is going on while this is happening. And we're going to probably see more updates to this here in the near future. Now, earlier we talked about music performances, and so let's go ahead and do that. As you go into the game, we had this big summer medley fair event that kind of introduced these instruments, but you can still go get instruments, and you can still go get instruments pages as a part of your collection. Hitting the F5 key on keyboard, and note that I'll be putting out my updated controller guide that will handle music as well as the new ultimates. I'm hopeful to have that done here in the next couple of weeks, but yes, you can play this game on controller. I'm still advocating for native support. You can select which difficulty that you want. The higher difficulty introduces new keys to it, as well as more experience that you will get. So it is a true, real fun thing. Now, as you collect the pages, it will show you what instruments you have access to. So you can see here I have the drums set ready to go, but I'm still missing some stuff for the guitar and violin and things like that. So just note that it's going to show you what you have available. If you want to just click on what's playable, you can do so here. And then if you go ahead and kick off and kick ready, you can actually then start your musical performance in which that it kicks off and you can start to play. The really cool thing about musical performance, though, it is also connected into this now casual craft skill, which essentially you level it up and you can learn new songs that will apply buffs to your group and to those listening who tip as well. So I really actually appreciate this system. It was quite a surprise when they introduced it, and I think it's an important highlight, especially for any returning player. Now, when it comes down to crafting and gathering, they have eased this up. There's still a little bit, maybe too much RNG at the end of Endgame when I talk to Endgame crafters, but all in all, like, there's a lot of value in actually doing crafts. I highly recommend, when it comes down to it, can craft, and do have materials, so that way you have a much more curated list. And this has a massive value because I say the economy is very strong, so you going investing in this right now ends up having bigger impacts, especially as it comes to the October update and so much more. So crafting and gathering has gotten some major updates, some major wins, and even more better updates are going to be on the way here with the October update itself. So I would highly encourage you that if you haven't already, at least start stockpiling various materials. This is a great time to return because you can start really gathering up, getting a lot of materials, and it could be a really great opportunity to make plenty of money here in the future itself. But anyhow, major win for the crafting and gathering. We covered a little bit of the modes themselves. There's still OPRs and there's still invasions and wars. And what you'll actually find is that you can queue up for invasions and wars from the open map. You can see here there's an upcoming invasion. You can sign up for the invasion itself, and I could choose to go ahead and do this from wherever I'm at in the world. It has eased its quality of life in terms of being able to jump into specific content itself, and they're making even more plans to kind of ease this up. For the wars themselves, they've actually moved those over to instant servers, thus be able to increase the overall capacity of what's going on in the open world, and we're going to see even more updates for that here in the near future. We talked about expeditions and the fact that they have added in and removed the keys, but they've also added in this new system called the Mutator system, and you get 2 dungeons each week that get mutated right now, and you can tell which ones are being mutated by the little red symbol over them. Every week it rotates, and you can see as you level up what difficulty you have to unlock and what rewards. As you level up the difficulty, more various different curses and mutations are applied, thus making it even more and more challenging, and it will basically allow you and show you off what kind of rewards you get for completing the various different mutations in the game itself. When it comes to your stats and when it comes to your builds of the game, personally speaking, I think essentially you want to be looking at trying to at least hit 301 of the different areas. Now, this is going to be changing and being always up to date. So ultimately, I would just say that as you ease yourself back in, don't worry about being meta or efficient. Ask questions of the community. Check out other YouTubers. You can check out my guides as well. Like, just jump in and stop letting this stop you. Of course there's choice, right? But the nice thing is you can go ahead and respect that choice. It's not going to cost you all that much, and 200 might seem like a lot, especially when you were playing. You might be like, oh, that's a lot. This is me at level cap. This is all gets eased up and becomes so much easier to experiment, hands down. So that's all been eased up. It's all been kind of, I think, way more welcoming. You can see here for with the weapons that you have equipped, also what are taking advantage of itself. So they have a nice little UI element with a little spinning thing that just makes it stand out, saying, hey, yeah, these weapons are benefiting from these specific stats as well. So just note that that is definitely always going to be an option for you. As far as it goes, when it comes to the end game, you have obviously the dungeons, you have the mutations, you have the OPR, you have wars, you have invasions. But I'm going to go take myself down to Reekwater here real quick. Actually, you know what? We could do it. We could actually go to Ebonscale, which is a beautiful area. If you've never been out to Ebonscale, note there's a wide range of stuff that you have the ability to do when it comes down to, just within the zones themselves. Traditionally speaking, when it comes to just kind of playing the game, if you go in, you log in a little bit, you go ahead and press a couple of gathering things, you're going to get these various different hidden stashes. You get 3 a day, which are going to have some gypsum. And if you guys haven't heard of the gypsum system, I recommend the expertise guide a lot, because I'm not doing it justice here for everything that it does and does not do, but we're going to go and explore that here with you guys just now here out in Ebonscale. Now, when it comes down to the gypsum system, it gives you a lot of flexibility. And if you go into the endgame zones, you're going to find these kilns, which here is these big blue things. They're in the higher level areas themselves. And if you interact with them, you'll be able to craft up various different orbs. Now, the different ways that you get the gypsums themselves come from different activities within the game. Obsidian is open world bosses, level 16 up. You can get 3 a day. Sapphire is from doing the endgame dungeons. Garnet is from completing a PvP arena. And if you ever are curious about the specific gypsum itself, if you actually hover over the tooltip, it will tell you exactly what's needed. In this case, Emerald is completing your trade aptitude. If you guys haven't even seen that, in your trade skills themselves, whenever you go over 200, you actually start with this little symbol and this little aptitude. So for fishing, I'm 200 plus 7. And every time I complete one of these little arrows, I get an emerald. So that you basically get 3 per aptitude level of emerald, but you also end up getting various different rewards at each marked location along the way. I really hope that we get to see that kind of system brought into the level 60, just XP grind as well as the weapon grind. And that's the feedback that I keep providing, but you can see that you can get those there as well. Citrine, you'll see that you get this from defeating anything within a trial. Amethyst here, you get these from doing the level 60 corruption breaches. Ruby is from your outpost rush. Diamond is collected through special events and just running around the world itself. Topaz is by equipping a topaz potion, using a topaz potion from alchemy. This is why you need your camp at tier 5. Once you get your camp to tier 5, you can craft these using various different resources, and any level 55 and up will have a chance of dropping these up to 10 per day. You can then use these to craft up your various different orbs, or you can actually use infused fragments, arcane, armor, engineering, jewelry, and weapon, and these are done by actually salvaging your materials. Anyway, so you can also make infused orbs, which gives you the ability to get these orbs that give you guaranteed bumps in your expertise that pushes you all the way up past actually level 600 as well. So that is essentially kind of how this rotates. This is how you can end up ultimately using this to your advantage. And I always say, do the content that you like. Don't stress about it. That's one of the things I really enjoy overall about New World and the experience that I have contained within. So we talked about that. We've talked about the state of the dungeons and the economy and so much more. And I hopefully have answered your questions and given you guys some insight into the systems themselves. If you guys have any thoughts of your own, share them below. Thank you guys so much also for watching this video. Be sure to like and share if you haven't already. Check out YouTube's video recommendations over here on the left-hand side. Also, be sure to check out the podcast and so much more of the content that I like to make if you are looking for more things in your YouTube feed today. Thanks, guys, for your time. Hopefully, I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care.